Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz has an SUV for you. Visit MBUSA.com for special offers. More phone calls coming up. Will Ferrell's going to join us on the program tomorrow, I believe. Is that right, Todd?
That is correct, and Dodgers manager Dave Roberts.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's bring in the Hall of Famer, Al Michaels. He'll be on the call with Kirk Herbstreit tonight. It'll be Amazon Prime. Kickoff at 8:15 Eastern, only on Prime Video. Al, I'm curious how much advice you give to a analyst. Let's say Tom Brady was going to be your analyst to start out game one. How much information advice would you have given him leading into game one?
Well, I actually have talked to Tom on a couple of occasions. And, 5 dead seconds on television may seem like a minute. So you don't have to be a racehorse who can't wait to get out of the gate. The replay will wait. Let the game come to you. And I know a lot of people say, be yourself. That's just too much of a cliche, much too general. But look, a guy like Tom, he's going to know the game inside out. But it's a matter of rhythm. It's getting, in sync with Kevin Burkhardt. I think he's done extremely well the first 2 games. Listening to the truck. It's easy for people to think, you go into the booth and just spew all of your knowledge about football. But you know as well as I do, you've got people in your ear, you've got the crowd screaming. A lot of things are happening at once. I mean, it's almost like, the truck is air traffic control and you're trying to land the plane and land it safely. So I think Tom has done, look, I know he got a lot of heat, I guess, after the first game. I thought it was pretty good. Coming out of the gate, I thought he did a really good job. But take your time. You don't have to race to be there. And pretty much, I guess, in general terms, I would say, let the game come to you. See, you'll go in prepared like crazy, and you'll want to get a lot of stuff in. But if it's not happening, it's just wasteful. Let the game come to you. You'll figure out where it is, and you'll be better for that.
Yeah, I had said after week 1, he's got to learn TV. He knows football, but learning TV is really tricky because, as you said, I could hear his producer in his ear at one point, and you freeze up a little bit there. Just
Sure.
Getting into that rhythm, it's kind of like surfing. There's only one Kelly Slater, but you can emulate that. It's choppy. You could go under. You're going to get back up, get back on the board again, and you got to make it look easy, sound simple, sound comfortable.
I have always likened it to the game is the melody. You're providing the lyrics. So you want it to match.
That's great.
You don't want it to be cacophonous. You want to talk about what people are seeing. So you don't want to go astray from, they see pictures. And then you have to describe what you see and maybe get into things that you see and they see, but you know a lot more about. So the key, I think, is the rhythm and the balance and not trying to do too much. And again, like I say, when guys come into the booth, I say, listen, 5 seconds is nothing. It's going to seem like a minute. It is only 5 seconds. Relax. You don't have to talk over everything that's on the screen. You just don't. And you just, make it and feel where the game is too. When the game is great, you ratchet it up a little bit. When the game is not so great, okay, you don't make too much of a bad game because otherwise now you're just sounding like a shill. And I think, look, Tom will get better and better. I think at the end of the day, he's going to be one of the best ever.
Talking to Al Michaels, he'll be on the call with Kirk Herbstreit tonight. It's the Jets and the Patriots. Did you guys get a chance to talk to Aaron Rodgers?
We did. Had a pretty fascinating conversation with him because I was thinking about the fact that he is really excited. He's coming back from obviously the torn Achilles. He's back, looked really good last week, leading that game-winning drive against Tennessee. And what he was saying the other day, he loves the process. He loves Monday through Saturday, or this week, Monday through Wednesday, because the game is tonight. He loves building the foundation, the building blocks. He says that to him is what really is the most exciting part of the game. And then you see how it's manifest on Sunday. And it's so much in contrast to all of the years I had Brett Favre, and I covered a ton of games with Brett. And Brett was the exact opposite. Brett at one point said, I'll play until I'm 60 if I don't have to play the games. He didn't like practice. Brett couldn't wait to get out of practice. Brett would leave practice and go play 9 holes of golf if he could every day. Very much in contrast. Now, look, they're both great. They're both fantastic quarterbacks, but it's interesting how the process is so different in how they got to the game.
Yeah, I'm just curious with Rodgers that do you think he'd rather talk football or non-football when you're having a conversation?
Both. It's kind of funny. He'll go not far astray, but I mean, Aaron is extremely intelligent. He is very well read. He's had tons of experience. I mean, going around the world and just absorbing everything. Aaron wants to absorb everything that's around him. It's not just football. And he's very perceptive. He sees how people react to him. I mean, sometimes you'll sit in the room with him and he'll see you. And if you begin to your thoughts waver, he'll go, hey, get up, wake up here. Come on. So he's very perceptive in that regard. He's extremely well read, extremely smart. But I think, Aaron is the kind of guy he'd like to talk about anything. You name it. Football, great. You want to talk about philosophy, whatever. Anything else, current events, whatever. He can go anywhere.
Did you ever have a bad production meeting with somebody?
Sure. Well, when you say bad, there are guys who come in and they don't want to talk and they don't want to say anything. And it's not that they're angry with you or anything, because if they come in and they agree to do the production meeting, they have said, okay, I'll sit in there. But a lot of times, what's wasteful for us anyway is you get nothing. And a lot of the young guys are like that way. What I have found through the years, though, is these players now, the younger guys have grown up in the television world. They've been getting interviewed since they were in high school. They know how to do it. They understand it. And the PR people are now talking to them, telling them, hey, here's what you have to give, And a lot of them right now, you know what it is, Dan? They're building their brand. So they love being a part of this.
If the Hall of Fame we've been talking about the first 2 hours here, the new nominees for the Hall of Fame, or they're on the ballot now. Are you a stat guy for a Hall of Fame or just the name recognition? It's a Hall of Famer.
The latter, because you can look at numbers and make numbers dance any way you want. But I look at a guy, and for those of us who have been around the game a long, long time, and especially for the voters, you can see that person. You can watch him play. You can think about how he played. You can think about how he played in big games. I think that is more important because the statistics can make it seem as if, oh, this guy was the greatest of all time, or not as great as we thought he was. I don't buy into that. I think I just try to look at the whole body of his career and see if I think that guy is Hall of Fame worthy. Hey, by the way, the one bad production meeting we did have, Buddy Ryan, probably 1987 or 80s with Philadelphia. And he didn't for some reason, he hated these meetings. And he called me a soccer announcer. I've never been to a soccer game in my life. Cantankerous Buddy Ryan.
I had a bad run-in with him too, Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scolded me for asking about protecting Randall Cunningham the season after Cunningham got sacked like 64 times. And I said, what did you do in the offseason to ensure that Randall won't get sacked as many times? And he just blurted out, oh, we're just going to let everybody sack him. And then he walked away. PR guy grabbed him, brought him back. I asked the same question. He answered it the same way. I was like, oh, yeah. Buddy and I didn't ever see eye to eye. But at least he didn't Kevin Gilbride me.
Kevin, what did he do to you?
No, Buddy punched Kevin.
Oh, correct. There you go. Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, punched him on the sideline. The Ohtani situation. Like, what would 50-50 mean to you? I know we're kind of numb to numbers now, it feels like, in all sports.
Yeah.
But 50-50 means what?
50-50, I mean, you talk about Ohtani, home runs, stolen bases, clutch hits and all that. I cannot, living in LA, I can't wait for him to pitch next year. That's what I can't wait for. I mean, you forget about this guy. I watched him pitch a one-hit shutout against Detroit last year. And then I think he had two. There was a first game of a doubleheader, and he hit 2 home runs in the other game. I mean, he is the one-off of one-offs. They talk about, not since Babe Ruth, and they're right. I mean, Babe Ruth could pitch, he could hit. We know what his career was like. So I really can't wait for Ohtani next year to get into that rotation. He is as special as they've ever come.
Is Kirk? Does he bring his dog to every game?
The dog is here. We had our meeting. The dog is here. The dog was in repose today. Let's put it that way. And the dog even passed up on the bacon, which wasn't very good at the buffet this morning. But Ben is here on a regular basis. He is.
Have you had somebody bring a pet into the booth before to broadcast a game with?
No, I've worked with a few pets, but I've never had anybody. But I'm not an animal person. I've never had an animal in my life. I've never had a goldfish, Dan. But I kind of fell in love. I mean, Ben is like a gorgeous golden retriever, and he's and Kirk has him off the leash, and he's right there with him, and he's so smart. We're in a hotel last year, and we get out of the elevator, and it's Kirk and me and Ben, and there was a maze to get to Kirk's room. He walk like a Grand Prix course in the hallway, and the dog found the room. It was unbelievable.
Are you considering getting a dog?
I am not considering getting a dog, but no. But one day I would like to announce the Westminster Kennel Dog Show. I think that would be a lot of fun. That's one thing I haven't done, but I got to say, I'm not saying it's on my bucket list, but what would I say? There's a pooch. There's a pooch.
a pooch punt.
A pooch and a mutt. I mean, what do I know? I don't know dog breeds.
Okay, would you do it tongue in cheek like Best in Show, that mockumentary that they did?
I'd have to.
Fred Willard.
I'd have to. Me. You name it.
Paulie, you know the person there who runs this, don't you?
I absolutely do, Mr. Michaels. If you would like me to, they're going to scoop you up in a second.
I'll do it with Will Ferrell, who's coming on your show tomorrow, right?
Yes.
I want to know what he thinks of my L.A. Kings this year. We really haven't, he's a huge hockey fan. I see him in the parking lot a lot after another loss. But I'm curious to know what he thinks about my Kings.
Well, I'll ask if Will wants to take part in the Westminster Dog Show with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
we'll make TV magic. That's what we do.
And then I'll bring up a name that nobody will ever remember. Rudd Weatherwax, who was the trainer for Lassie. Okay, there you go. I know I'm dating myself, but what the hell? One of the great names in history.
I think he just passed away.
Weatherwax.
I think.
There you go.
I think he just passed away. I think.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Have fun tonight, Al.
The stuff you learn on this show, it's fantastic.
I got to start listening to it.
I haven't seen you in a while. Love being on the show. Let's do it regularly. Come on, man.
Thank you, bud. Thank you, bud. That's Al Michaels. Once again, trying to help Al with his golf, with his swing, Johnny Miller. Al belongs to a great golf course out in L.A., Bel Air. Yes, Paul.